Hello everyone. In this video tutorial, we are going to solve two numericals based on design of helical compression springs. This video tutorial will be belonging or discussion in this video tutorial will be belonging to the CO number 6, wherein after studying this unit, students will be able to design helical and leaf springs used in walls and automobiles. Now, we know springs are elastic members. They work on the principle of deflection. Getting deflected, they will start exerting force, or while sustaining the load or force, they will get deflected. So, deflection either is caused due to applied load, or deflection is caused to apply or exert the load. On the removal of the deflection, spring, the elastic member will regain its size and shape, and that's why it is elastic nature is used for applying the load or sustaining the load or to store the energy. Basically, three different forms of the springs are used extensively. Helical springs, which are further classified as compression, helical compression springs and helical tension springs. Then torsional springs, they work on the principle of bending, as well as leaf springs. They are also working on the principle of bending for a uniform strength beam, bending of an uniform strength beam. Based on this principle, these leaf springs, sometimes called as laminated springs, are working. Helical torsion springs are sometimes called as spiral springs, and these are the three different types extensively used in mechanical applications. Now we know that for the spring, wire diameter is denoted by small d. The distance between similar points on consecutive turns is denoted by small p. The pitch, nominal diameter of the coil of the spring, external diameter of the coil of the spring do, internal diameter of the coil of the spring di. The average of di and do is the mean diameter of the spring, capital D. This mean coil diameter, capital D, divided by wire diameter, small d. This ratio is called as spring index and it is denoted by C. Another important constant in the analysis of spring is the spring stiffness. Sometimes it is also called as spring constant or spring rate or spring gradient, but extensively it is called as spring stiffness. Spring stiffness K is given by F upon delta, that is applied force divided by deflection undergone. Force required to produce unit deflection, that is called as stiffness of the spring. Now, the springs, helical compression as well as tensile springs are subjected to shearing stresses. There will be torsional shear of the spring wire, which will be given by 8 times Fd upon pi d cube. There will be direct shear of the spring wire, that will be expressed in form of 8 times Fd upon pi d cube multiplied by 0.5 upon C. And superimposition of these two stresses, torsional shear plus direct shear, that will indicate total resultant shear stress induced inside the spring wire, will be given by 8 times Fd upon pi d cube into bracket 1 plus 0.5 upon C, where 1 plus 0.5 upon C, this will be termed as a constant Ks, where Ks is called as correction factor for shear stress correction factor. To take it into account the curvature effect, Ks is replaced, Ks in the formula is replaced by Kw, where Kw is called as Wahl's factor, whose value is given by 4 times c minus 1 divided by 4 times c minus 4 plus 0.615 upon c. If the nature of the load applied on the spring wire is a dynamic one, at that time we need to take it into account the factor kW. If the nature of the load is static one, then we have to use Ks, shear stress concentration factor. If the nature of the force on the spring, whether it is static load or dynamic load, is not known, in such cases we have to assume dynamic load and we have to take it into account factor Kw, Wahl's factor Kw, for analysis of the spring. Now let us solve one numerical based on analysis of the spring. Here, for a tension spring assembled with preload of 138 Newton, we need to find out initial shear, the spring rate means spring constant, and maximum external force that can be sustained by the spring using following data. The specification of the spring is specified like this. Here wire diameter of the spring is 3.5 millimeters. Spring index C is equal to 6. Number of active turns is equal to 4. For the spring material, the design shear stress is 830 Newton per millimeter square. That means directly tau permissible is being specified as 830. Modulus of rigidity G is equal to 81555 Newton per millimeter square. So one point to be noted here, in case of tension spring, all the turns are always active turns. As against in case of compression spring, if the end style is squared and ground, then two of the turns, that means one turn from each end, becomes passive. It will not participate in sustaining the load. That's why total number of turns minus 2 will indicate active number of turns in case of compression springs having squared and ground ends. But that is not the case in case of tension spring. Whatever is the end side, all the turns are always active turns. All the turns take part or participate in bearing or sustaining the load. So to proceed with, we have enlisted the given data. D is equal to 3.5, spring index C is equal to capital D upon small d as equal to 6. Then so capital D will be C multiplied by small d. We are in position to calculate mean coil diameter capital D, that is 6 multiplied by 3.5. Number of active turns N is equal to 4. Tau permissible, directly they have specified in the given data. Otherwise generally they will specify SYT value and factor of safety, and based on that we have to calculate tau permissible, but here they are directly specified tau permissible. And modulus of rigidity, we are in need of modulus of rigidity denoted by G while calculating the spring rate. So that is also been specified as 81555 Newton per millimeter square. So here I have just carry forwarded the given data, specified problem statement and given data I have carry forwarded. Now preload Fi is being specified as 138 Newton. They have specified that preload of 138 Newton. Fi is equal to 138 Newton. Now, as in this case, they have specified spring index C. Therefore, we are in position to calculate Kw. They are not specified the nature of the force, whether it is a static or dynamic. Therefore, we are going to assume the dynamic force, and that's why in the formula we are going to refer Kw. We are going to take it into account Wahl's factor Kw, which is given by 4 times C minus 1 divided by 4 times C minus 4 plus 0.615 upon C, where C is the spring constant, spring index, which is given as equal to 6. So we are in position to calculate Kw. Kw happens to be equal to 1.162. Now tau is given by Kw 8 times Fc upon pi d square. If we want to find out maximum tau, then we have to use maximum force Fmax. If F is equal to Fi, tau is equal to tau I. If F is equal to F1, tau is equal to tau 1. If F is Fmax, tau is equal to tau max. If F is Fmin, tau is tau min. So based on the value of F, value of tau is calculated. Here, if we want to find out maximum stress develop inside the spring wire, then we have to take it into account maximum force. Or when the spring is subjected to maximum design force, at that time maximum stress will get developed or induced inside the spring wire. So maximum stress induced inside the spring wire will be given by Kw, which is equal to 1.162 8 times maximum force F max multiplied by C is 6 divided by pi d square, where small d is wire diameter 3.5 square. While designing, we have to equate induced maximum stress with permissible stress. So equating tau max with tau permissible, tau max and tau permissible are equated. Tau max is given by this relation, tau permissible 830, that is also specified. So while equating, you can note F max, maximum force, is the only unknown, and that can be calculated as equal to 572 Newton. Now they have specified initial load as 138 Newton and maximum force right now we have calculated as 572 Newton. Therefore, additional external load that can be applied will be given by maximum force minus initial force. So maximum force is 572, initial force is 138. So additional 434 Newton force can be sustained by the spring without failure. The spring can sustain further load of 434 besides its initial load 138 Newton. Now, based on the initial shear, if F is replaced by Fi, tau will be replaced by tau I. If force is initial force, then stress will be initial stress. So initial stress, tau initial will be given by Kw 8 times Fic upon pi d square. All the values, Kw is known, Fi is known, C is known, D is also known. So all the terms are known and we are in position to calculate initial shear stress that happens to be equal to 200 Newton per millimeter square. Now for calculating spring rate means spring stiffness, spring gradient, spring constant, whatever you call it as. But just note that it is different from spring index. Spring index is C, whereas K is spring rate, spring gradient, spring constant, spring stiffness, whatever you call it as. So it is given by GD upon 8C cube N. G is the modulus of rigidity given, D is known, C is known, and N active number of terms that is also known. So just using the values of known terms in the formula, we can calculate spring rate that happens to be equal to 41.3 Newton per millimeter square. So likewise, we have calculated the further load that can be sustained by the spring wire, initial stress, shear stress inside the spring wire, and the spring rate. Now, numerical number 8. In this numerical, they have specified an isolator application wherein number of springs are used in parallel to result stiffness exactly equal to 150 Newton per millimeter square. For each individual spring, they have specified that spring wire diameter is equal to 4 millimeter, spring index is equal to 6, number of active turns equal to 5, modulus of rigidity G for each individual spring is 86400 Newton per millimeter square. For each individual spring, tau permissible is 250 Newton per millimeter square. They are also asking us to suggest any modification if necessary, and also they are asking us to find out capacity and deflection of individual spring as well as that of isolator. In this application, they have specified that n number of springs or z number of springs are used in parallel. Whenever springs are in parallel combination, their effective stiffness will be calculated as mere summation of individual stiffnesses. Effective stiffness Ke will be given by K1 plus K2 plus K3, etc. whenever the springs are in parallel combination. Here they are specified springs in parallel combination. Suppose Z number of springs are in parallel combination, then Z times K will indicate total or effective stiffness of Z number of springs. Individual spring is having stiffness K. Identical springs are there. Therefore, Zk will indicate total stiffness. Now they are asking us to find out number of springs Z to cause or to resulting or effective stiffness as equal to 150 Newton per millimeter. Now here, let us first calculate individual spring stiffness K, which will be given by GD upon 8C cube N. G is the modulus of rigidity, they have specified here. D is the wire diameter, they have specified. C is the spring index is being specified, and N active number of turns that are also specified. So each of the spring is having spring rate or spring stiffness of 40 Newton per millimeter square. Such Z number of springs are there. Therefore, number of springs Z will be equal to, sorry, resultant stiffness or effective stiffness will be equal to Zk. Effective stiffness or total stiffness Kt will be equal to Zk. Total or effective stiffness is 150. K is individual stiffness, that is equal to 40. So therefore, number of springs required will be equal to 3.75. Number of springs cannot be a fractional value. Therefore, number of springs can either be equal to 3 or equal to 4. But the condition is that the isolator should have effective stiffness exactly equal to 150. That means Zk should be always equal to 150. Z cannot be a fractional value. It should always be an integer value. Therefore, we need to adjust value of k so that Zk product will be equal to 150. Z can either be equal to 3 or that can equal to 4. So let us see two of the conditions. If Z is equal to 3, to result effective stiffness equal to 150, each individual spring should have k equal to 50, because if Z is equal to 3 and kt is equal to 150, that means k needs to be equal to 50 instead of 40. Right now, this individual stiffness is 40, but if three of the springs are required to be used, at that time, it's the three of the springs should have stiffness of 50 Newton as against 40 Newton. So therefore, for adjusting the current stiffness of 40 Newton to the value of 50 Newton, or to increase current stiffness of 40 Newton to 50 Newton, we should adjust the number of turns, because G the modulus of rigidity cannot be adjusted, spring wire diameter cannot be adjusted, index of the spring cannot be adjusted, but number of turns can be adjusted, can be reduced if required. So here new number of turns required will be calculated. Those will be 4. Right now, number of turns equal to 5. If we cut the spring and if we cut the spring and its one turn is reduced, at that time number of turns will be 4, and the resultant spring will have stiffness of 50. Such three springs used to cause or to result effective stiffness of the isolator as 150. Now suppose Z is equal to 4, at that time we need to reduce current stiffness from 40 to new stiffness of 37.5. For that we need to calculate new number of turns, that happens to be equal to 5.33. Right now, number of turns equal to 5, and in this case we are in need of number of turns equal to 5.33. But always it is difficult to increase the number of turns as against to reduce or to cut the spring to reduce the number of turns. Therefore, this arrangement is advisable, wherein three springs are used by cutting one of the turns from each individual spring, so that its stiffness will rise to 50 and effective stiffness will be equal to 150. Now tau max is being specified. If we equate tau max with the tau induced, tau max with the tau permissible is specified, tau max is calculated as here. Knowing C, we are in position to calculate Kw. Kw happens to be equal to 1.162. So 1.162 8 times F max multiplied by 6 divided by pi, pi d square. So equating induced stress with permissible stress, while equating F max is the only unknown. So F max is calculated as 225. 225 Newton is the force as sustained by one spring. Such three springs are there. Therefore, total capacity of the isolator will be 675. Each individual spring's capacity will be 225 Newton, whereas isolator capacity will be 675 Newton. Deflection is given by F max upon K. F max is 225. K is now modified stiffness is 50. Therefore, each individual spring will experience deflection or compression of 4.5 millimeters, and that will be the same as isolator deflection. So isolator will also have deflection of 4.5 millimeters. So deflection will be same for individual spring as well as the isolator, whereas capacity of individual spring is 225 and that of isolator is 675 Newton. So that's all in this PPT. Here we have answered all the questions they have asked. During this PPT, we have learned what is the terminology of mechanical compression springs, what are the different constants in concern with mechanical compression springs, what are the different stresses developed in mechanical compression springs, different stress correction factors for the compression spring or tension spring also, and how to design a mechanical helical compression oblique tension spring. Formula will remain same for the compression as well as tension spring. So therefore design of compression spring is as good as design of tension spring. Okay. Generally compression springs are used. Therefore while mentioning, generally it is mentioned as helical compression spring, but that will also include or cover the helical tensile spring, because both the springs are designed on the similar lines using the similar formulas, same formulas rather, and therefore there is no such difference besides the nature of deflection. In case of compression spring, there will be compressive deflection. Free length of the spring will be reduced, whereas in case of helical tension spring, free length of the spring will be increased. That there will be tensile deflection of the spring. Besides this, there is no difference. Besides the nature of the deflection, either compressive or tensile, there is no difference in analysis as well as formulas required to design the springs. So, how to design a mechanical helical tension spring or compression spring, that is also we have seen here. So that's all in this PPT. Thank you.